My name is Sebastien. I'm a producer, an executive producer, and co-founder at a production company called Boldly. So the next Boldly project that I want to share with you is one commercial that we did for Mitsubishi. This is for the 2025 Outlander. If you ever have it in your mind that you want to do a car commercial, run as fast as you can, run away in the other direction. No, I'm just kidding. It was super fun to do this project, but also in the moment, you can find yourself being quite, overwhelmed with the amount of things that need to happen. It's a lot like a product shoot because the car is the product, but you also need to consider it's a massive vehicle and you need to move it and you need to make it look good and you need to film the inside and the outside, and even something as simple as getting the same color and having two different cars is more challenging than you might think. In this case, we worked with a really awesome team out of Toronto and we shot it here in Vancouver. We did one shoot day with 3 camera units. So that is one arm car unit, which is all of this cool stuff. That was one unit. We had a dialogue unit, which was anything with our actor in it. And then we had a stunt unit, or a kind of a rigging unit that did all of this stuff in here. Jokingly, when you want to do a car commercial, you kind of need to plan maybe 10 shots a day. Our initial storyboard had 36 shots for one day, and so we had to dramatically reduce that count from 36 to 17, and 18 was kind of pushing it. But even then, we divided that by 3 units. So how did we do this on a rainy day in February? Well, we had to convince our team that we needed a bit of a rain cover, and what we kind of did for that was a 20 by clear fabric, essentially. That acts as an umbrella over the car, and we had to put that over top of our driveway here. So if you kind of look in the background, it's pouring rain, but the car itself is dry and has no raindrops on it. So is our actor, who's not even wearing a jacket. These are little things that you don't necessarily think about when you're in Vancouver and it rains all the time, but when you have people visiting from Toronto to shoot here, they're like, how bad could it be? Well, yeah, it rains a lot here. Car commercials also come with a detailing team. So you have a team of 3 to 4 people that are there just dedicated to making sure that car is spotless, it has no mud on it, it's perfectly shiny, it's waxed, and they spend a whole day or 2 just cleaning it and prepping it. In this case, we had 2 different cars for this shoot, so we had to do that twice. And then they truck them into set and load them in and move them around and stuff. One of the units was, call it a performance unit. That's where we have our actor here. And if you notice, she's also kind of talking to herself, who's in the car. No, they're not twins. It's the same actor that we had to film twice. So when we have 18 shots and we have the same actor playing 2 people, we have to kind of do it twice, which is really difficult. There's visual effects involved, yes, but most of the time we just have a body double. So the person on the left is the main actor, and the person on the right, just off the edge, you can see her shoulder, that's a body double. But of course, when it comes to things like casting, sometimes as a producer, you kind of say, yeah, we have enough budget for this many actors and this much wardrobe, but be mindful of casting people who have particular features, like red hair, for example. In this case, we had to cast somebody who had natural red hair, which meant that we suddenly ballooned our wig budget by 3 times because we had 3 units. It happens, So when doing this with 2 actors, we basically just shot one side, changed the actor, and then shot the other side, like that. And then just went back and forth and back and forth. In this case, we're doing not a process trailer, but in this case, we're doing not a process trailer, but oh my God, what's the word for it? Yes, okay. In this case, rather than doing a process trailer, we decided to do a hostess tray. Because that was actually a lot more efficient on the shoot day to be able to turn around on a stretch of road that we had. And we could also rig it and de-rig it a bit quicker than moving the car up and down a ramp. So that was a smart play on the part of our first AD. The other unit was doing stunts and horse stuff and stuff with the arm car, which was really fun. We were doing that at the exact same time as we were filming the driveway scene. So that's how overlapping we were with our units. In this case, we were about 10 minutes away from the house location. That was really convenient that we kept everything close enough together that we could meet up with them afterwards. But in this case, we had the arm car rolling down one road, and then a stunt driver in the car itself, and then a stunt rider on the horse, and of course the horse. So all of this combined was like a whole separate team of people doing that. But when you cut it together, it kind of, this shot was cool. It was like not originally part of the plan, but then when we got to the scouting of the location, we were like, wouldn't it be cool if the horse did this like big rearing up thing? But of course, like on the scout day in the background, you can see all this beautiful lush mountains and stuff. And then of course on the shoot day, being the rainy day that it was, it's basically like lost in the clouds, but still looks cool. Cowboy's name is Quentin, by the way, and he's on The Last of Us too. So when you don't know what the weather's gonna be and you're planning a shoot like this that involves a lot of outdoor filming, there's a couple ways you can approach it. One is if you know that the weather is a gamble and if you know that you need sun, for example, and you can't shoot in the rain or even in the clouds, oftentimes for a commercial, you'll do a weather bid. So what that means is you'll do like a worst case scenario. If we have to push the shoot by a day, this is kind of what the financial implications of that are. Or if we have to like move it by a day, we lose certain crew, or we lose the director, or we lose an actor, everyone's schedules kind of have to play into that as well. So that's called a weather bid or a contingency day. Sometimes you can ask your team and your crew to like be prepared to hold that extra day just in case, but you need to call that with enough advance notice so that if they need to book other work that next day, you can be respectful of their time too. In this case, we were comfortable with rain, but a no-go was snow. So a bigger problem for us was that 2 weeks before we shot this entire field in the background was white, and the mountains was white, and the parking lot that we shot in was white, and the car was white, and the house was covered in snow, and there was almost no green, unbelievably, anywhere. We were in Vancouver. It's pretty rare that we have this kind of snow, so we were a bit like unsure what to do. It looked cool, but it just didn't really suit the vibe of the commercial, and you would lose the car because it didn't match in the color. In that case, our options were we could hire an art team to go there and shovel as much snow as they possibly could. We could push the shoot dates, which actually wasn't really possible for a few other scheduling reasons. Or we could kind of live with it, or maybe change the car color. And the best solution for us was to like say, okay, let's get rid of it in CGI, in VFX. And so thankfully the snow mostly melted. All of the stuff you see in this shot is as it was on the day, with the exception of some power lines that we removed in post. Like on this shot, for example, there was like a little house on one side and then power lines. But when we get to later in the spot and we're in this parking lot, on the actual behind the scenes, you'll see there's a whole snowbank right behind the car here. So they had to paint that out, but also paint it out in the reflection caused by the rain on the ground. That was ultimately the cheapest solution. And yeah, so our stunt unit is out here doing donuts in the parking lot. The irony of such a brand new 2025 SUV is that they're so safe that you actually can't do a donut in the parking lot. And when we storyboarded this and the whole script was calling for some cool car stunt to happen in the parking lot, we were like, well, maybe we could do, you know, a skid, or we could do a J-turn, or we could do a donut. And we're talking to our stunt team on the Tech Scout, and they're like, yeah, the car is so safe, we can't actually do that. So we had to do a bit of movie magic and like use clever editing techniques to make it look like it's doing more than it actually is. And of course, it's still a stunt driver in there too, and not the main actor who's here. The last scene of the day is kind of, there's two things here. There's another stunt double, or not a stunt double, but a body double, and the reflection is our main actor. So that's two shots that are comped together in visual effects. And then at the last shot of the day, this was probably at like 8 o'clock at night, and we've really lifted the light and the color, but we had a huge softbox on a crane over top of this as well. Yeah, so with every project, there's some new hurdle that you have to kind of encounter, whether that's rain or snow or never working with a specific car before, or horses or stunts or pyrotechnics. I can go on. In each case, I think you just have to break the mountain into smaller bites. So, if you start with asking questions, definitely talk to your head of department. If you're like, I don't know anything about horses, call a horse wrangler, call an animal wrangler. Or if you don't know anything about cars, call a first AD who has done 1,000 car commercials before. They will tell you, and they're happy to help you because they want to be hired on your job, but they also want you to be successful too. So yeah, talk to your crew. Like, your job is not to know how to do every single piece of camera equipment or how to do every single thing on lighting. You're going to ask your experts on how to do that, and they'll inform you of like what things they need, and that'll empower you to be a better producer.